Hi everyone, my name's Maggie. I'm going to go over writing reflections, and this is a really short snapshot of what that could look like. We have a full 1 hour workshop that's promoted on Experience for You, so feel free to check that out. So when I think about reflections, I like to use this format. It's very basic, the what, so what, now what framework. Because I know that with reflections, a lot of times for my courses, they're getting me to think about something. So what are they getting me to think about? So I could draft my ideas, and then the so what means how does it relate to my course? Maybe what have we've been talking about in lectures? How does it relate to other concepts that we've been talking about? So it's all about making connections. And then a now what? What am I going to do with those observations that I've just made? So you can, if that framework makes sense to you, it's a way to sort of gather your thoughts. But I'm going to go more specifically into an example. So a lot of course assignments that ask you to do a written reflection are this kind of example. So analyzing a text or a film, a case, or an experience using a course theory or a course concept. So this could be something that's kind of informal in a seminar situation. So you have a reading and you come to seminar and you talk it through. How does this reading make sense? How does it relate to last week's reading? Can you think of examples of this in your everyday life? So you're thinking through that concept. Well, a written reflection is kind of like the seminar, but it's more formal. So you have a course concept. Let's say I'm going to use the example of feminism today. So we're looking at feminism, and then maybe you have a film that you have to watch. So the idea with this written reflection is that I have this theory of feminism, and I have this film. Like, how does this film show feminism, or what do I see when I'm exploring what feminism is? Do I see examples of this in the film? What's going on in this film? So it's a way of understanding the film. So a first way to start is to really understand that course concept. So that's step one, analyze concept. You can do this with a mind map if you like. I like mind maps because it forces me to use less words. So it's a way to really do a good summary. So in the middle of my mind map, so this would be that red square, I would put the word feminism because that's the theory that I'm examining. And then all the squares around it are just the main ideas. So when I think about feminism, what are some of the main aspects of feminism? What are some of the aspects of that theory, the main ideas of that theory? Now, this is where you have to go to your course readings because there's different ways of understanding about feminism, maybe different theories. So what theorist are you using, and how is feminism represented? So you're going to use that to help to really explore the concept. Because I really need to understand feminism before I apply it. So applying it to that film, to that text, or the experience. So how I like to explain it is kind of like glasses. So I'm understanding this concept of feminism, and then I'm going to watch this film, or I'm going to think about an experience in my life. Well, I'm going to put on my feminism glasses. So I really understand the concept of feminism, and then I'm going to look through the lens of feminism when I explore that experience or that film. So what do I see? Now, to make it make a bit more sense, imagine that you have a course concept and it's Marxism. Well, I'm going to really understand Marxism, and I'm going to put my Marxist glasses on, and then I'm going to look at that film or think about that experience. Well, I'm probably going to see different things because I'm seeing that experience through a different lens, the lens of Marxism versus the lens of feminism. So that to me makes sense as to what's going on. What am I doing? So there's different ways of sort of gathering your thoughts. One is free writing. Free writing is just writing your thoughts. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about anything else. What you're doing is trying to get your thoughts on paper or your thoughts in your computer in a Word document so that you can look at them later. Otherwise, they're just in your head, and it's hard to sort of gather your thoughts and think about them. So write them down in whatever way makes sense. The other option is a chart. I like charts because they help to structure my thoughts a bit more. I kind of go everywhere with my thinking, which kind of makes it's hard to get started after that because it just seems like it's messy. So this is one thing you could do. So there's 3 columns here. In the first left-hand column, in those rows, I might just put the different ideas of that theory, or the different aspects of the concept. So just put them one concept per row, and then I'd be thinking about that experience or the film, and I would just make my observations. Where does it demonstrate, or an example that I see of that particular aspect? And then that third column is where I really try to make sense. Like, what does this tell me? How do I understand? How can I interpret this particular example from the text or from my experience? So you're using that theory to help see things, or help to understand things, or explain what's going on in that example. So this is all just rough work. I'm gathering my thoughts. Step 3, this is where I'm going to start mapping out my actual written assignment. So what I always like to do is start with a very rough thesis statement. I just need to focus all my ideas. What am I going to show in my paper? Just ask yourself that very simple question and then put the answer. Right here is a sentence template that you could get started with. I like to use this kind of thing, but it's an analysis of, so that would be the film or a personal example experience, using the theory of feminism by, maybe it's Jones 2003, like which feminism theory, like who is the theorist? So that would be the name and author. Shows, and then the main thing that you want to show in your paper, which could have a lot of ideas in what you're going to show. The next thing I do is I just do a really brief outline on kind of the steps I'm going to take in my paper. So what will I do first, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do that. So it's very informal, but I want to sort of make sure there's structure to my reflection, not just this mass of ideas. It has to be organized. Often the very first thing I do in my very first body paragraph is I really do outline the theory or the concept, because I need to do that first so then I can apply it in my next paragraphs when I apply it to the film or my experience. So it just makes sense. So that first body paragraph is going to have a lot of citation in it. I'm going to be referring to my sources so that I can actually explain that concept or theory. And then maybe that next body paragraph is I'm going to take one of those concepts from the theory that I just outlined in the previous paragraph, and I'm going to apply it to that film or to that experience. And then you're going to end your whole paper off with the conclusion, wrap up those main ideas, and that so what and the now what will come in there. Make those connections. So that's kind of the process. Hopefully this helps you to get started. Here's a very, very brief example. This is not the full paper, but it's an example of how you'd start with a theory and then apply it. So here we see that they're doing ethical theories. I see a citation from the source, which is outlining, deontology, and then reflecting on that particular definition, applying it to own experience as a way to understand that particular theory. So this is a very brief example. You can pause the screen and take a look. But really, I just want to show how you start with the theory and then apply it in your paragraph. So thanks for joining me, and I hope this was helpful.